I am one of the leading experts in the field of artificial intelligence. I have 4 patents in AI. I'm also an expert in human psychology. So I combine artificial intelligence, human psychology to create business outcomes, especially in marketing, especially in business revenue growth, sales. So what we did was we collected a whole bunch of data from hundreds of thousands of students, from their school transcripts, from their aptitude scores, their interest levels. And just like what we were mentioning earlier, we found the patterns of, you know, which student likes what kind of course. And not only like, but what are they capable of completing as a course for their degree program. So once we have that model, we used it to recommend courses just like Netflix recommends shows to us. So the idea is to give the students exactly what they are interested in and are capable of completing. And that is the program that we built, which got mentions from Obama and Bill Gates. In fact, Bill Gates actually invested in the project as well.
What would you change about yourself if you wanted to?
I'll prefer to have more hair on my head.
Okay. Hello, fellows. Welcome to the next episode of Jagged with Jasravee. Subscribe to my channel for conversations at the edge with thought leaders from the marketing, branding, and the business world. Conversations that ignite new ideas, ideas with rough and sharp edges. Hi, Manuj. So nice to have you on my show.
Thank you so much for having me. Excited to be here.
Manoj, if I request you to tweet your profile, what would you say? And I'm sure it's a very interesting tweet.
I am one of the leading experts in the field of artificial intelligence. I have 4 patents in AI. I'm I'm also an expert in human psychology. So I combine artificial intelligence, human psychology to create business outcomes, especially in marketing, especially in business revenue growth, sales. So that's the tweet right there.
Superb.
Mhm.
So, artificial intelligence, we'll start
Mhm.
from there, Manoj. If you had to share with our audiences in simple terms what it is and what it is not, uh,
Mhm.
what would you say before we get into use case scenarios?
See, our world is a very complex world. We have so much stimulus, so much data, so much happening in the world. There's social media, there is news, there is television, there is radio. Then, if we start to think about other phenomena, like let's take a simple example. Um, let's say if if we touch a hot stove, and we will basically learn in one instant that we should not be touching a hot stove because it's going to hurt us. So that is one data point. Our mind is able to record that and learn from it, right? Now let's add a few more variables. Let's say the temperature outside is freezing and the stove temperature is like about 50 degrees, right? So now we have 2 variables. And now if I touch the stove, it's gonna be lukewarm. It's not gonna really hurt me. But now my mind also learns that, okay, there are 2 variables. If it's cold outside and it's not that hot, it's okay. Now, if we continue to add more variables, the height of the stove, the wind factor, all that stuff, it starts to become more and more complex because now we have more and more variables to take care of. Now, imagine now you have to predict the weather in a particular area, and that weather now relies on ocean currents, the movement of the earth, the movement of moon, sun, the how do you call it, uh, jet stream, all the ocean currents, all these things are combined, and many many more, right? The complexity is so huge that human mind is not able to fathom the number of variables that it takes to predict something like that. And when we take these powerful machines, powerful algorithms, we can input hundreds of thousands or millions of data points and say, okay, this is all the data that we have collected over decades. So tell me now, what is the outcome for tomorrow? That's what artificial intelligence is. It is able to, comprehend all this data and then figure out what is the right pattern that works in the real world. I hope that makes sense.
Yeah. Lot of sense. And if you have data like that for 10 years, you can benchmark it, you can find out trends, you can find out dips and highs, and you can know which way things are heading, and you can prepare yourself in advance. So
Exactly,
use
exactly.
case scenarios, Manuj,
Mhm.
for businesses,
Yeah.
whether it is startups or, multinationals.
See, business is all about human behavior. What kind of challenges humans are facing. uh, when we go to market and solve those challenges, that becomes a product or service. So you can again imagine, using the same example, we can feed a ton of data to algorithm and say, okay, tell me what are the trends. Like, you know take fashion industry, right? So uh, every year new types of fashion, new types of clothing material, colors, they come out, right? But imagine if there was a way, or I think there is a way, maybe it's out there. I'm not familiar with a prominent example here, but just imagine that if there was a way to feed a ton of data about the fashion cycles over the decade, we could be very close to finding what will be a fashion trend for the next year, rather than guessing, right? Even when we look at internally in the organization, employee satisfaction, employee engagement, customer lifetime value, all these things can be predicted, or it can be at least monitored using artificial intelligence and data analytics.
Hmm. So every part of business, you can make it more efficient, you can make it more effective if you know how to use artificial intelligence to your
Yeah.
advantage.
Mhm.
So, Manuj, what can it not do?
Well, so artificial intelligence, it may sound intelligent, but it's not a very intelligent. It's quite dumb, actually. As a human, we are capable of multiple things. Like, we are talking, we are presenting ourselves on the video, we are moving our hands, and you know I could write a memo while talking to you, even though it's not very recommended. So uh, even though we are not simultaneously, we can do multiple things. But if we take a human mind, we can, after this interview is done, I can start writing a poem, I can paint a picture, right? Paint a painting. So we are capable of doing a lot of things, but artificial intelligence is only capable of doing one thing. So if we want to do something else, we need to create a new algorithm. We need to feed it new set of data. We need to do a whole bunch of things from the ground up. So that's something that a human mind can do it. Now there is a lot of research being done to get artificial intelligence to a state where it can simulate human mind, where it means one AI will be able to do pretty much everything that a human mind can do. And that is called a singularity, meaning where human mind, artificial intelligence will actually surpass or merge with the human mind, and it will be able to do much more. And at that point, there'll be an exponential growth in the power of AI, because now it can regenerate itself and create more algorithms itself, and basically just um, surpass human mind at an exponential rate.
Hmm. So,
Mhm.
Manuj, that seems very powerful, but
Mhm.
to a lot of people, it will seem scary also.
Mhm.
And science fiction movies have always gone berserk on that and propelled the mythical aspect of it or the myths associated with it.
Mhm.
Although at some level,
Mhm.
machines, a human being is always using a machine to enhance its power. I mean,
Mhm.
I remember we were talking the other day to some person who's a big fan of superheroes, and she said that when we are using a pen, are we not enhancing our power with
Yeah.
the use of a tiny simple
Yeah.
machine,
Yeah.
isn't
Yeah.
it? So yes, machines have always, and now with embedded technology, it's, for health purposes, for other purposes, we are being able to track and get data that we couldn't have. We were able to prevent and enhance life. At the
Mhm.
same time, because it says intelligence, and intelligence learns itself. I mean, if you look in psychology, intelligence is that it will learn from the environment and adapt.
Mhm.
So, and that is the thing that movies take up.
I mean, see, the thing is that humans have a tendency to always be afraid of the unknown. Um, so, as you said, we have been inventing things, and we have been adopting things, technologies which have become part and parcel of our life, right? So, take for example, the one of the earliest discoveries, how to make fire, right? Now, fire itself can be harmful and it can be very useful. But now, can you imagine life without fire? No. Then comes the wheel. The wheel was discovered, and now it has become a part of human evolution. You cannot imagine human evolution without wheel, right? Um, so these are simple examples. Then we come to paper, printing press. This is how humans have evolved, because one discovery leads to another discovery. So the technology itself is the fundamental step for next stage of evolution. If there was no fire, we won't be able to cook food, we'll not be able to become that intelligent. If there was no wheel, we'll not be able to transport goods. If there was no paper, we will not be able to transfer our knowledge to each other. If there was no printing press, there will not be mass adoption of knowledge. And now with the internet and everything, it is only going to enhance our ability to invent new things. And similarly, now coming to artificial intelligence, it will enhance our ability to do things. It will also free us up from thinking about how to invent things. Take the pandemic, for example. We were able to invent, or discover, or invent, whatever you want to call it, the vaccine within a few weeks. Why is that? Because of artificial intelligence. If we did not have that, we will still be waiting for a vaccine right now, and we will still be under lockdown. But now, addressing what will happen, if artificial intelligence becomes so powerful. See, the thing about Hollywood movies is they want to create sensationalism, but AI or any piece of technology itself is not inherently jealous. It is not inherently ambitious. Is not inherently, nefarious or malicious, that it is going to harm somebody. Like, there is no algorithm which will say, "Oh, I want to take over the world." There is no algorithm like that.
Mhm.
It's only a human being who will think of an algorithm like that and say, "Okay, let me ask this technology to do it on my behalf." Just like any other technology that we have invented, you know fire being firearms, or nuclear
Absolutely. Mm.
nuclear arms, or whatever it is. It's not the technology that is going to harm us. It's us humans who are going to harm us.
Yeah, we have to keep ourselves in check. And I don't know why Mr. Elon Musk is so worried about
Ye-
this
Hmm.
aspect. Yeah. So
Go
great.
ahead, sir.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, it's every discovery is a revolution, giving us new abilities, new possibilities, and a new lens to look at the world and ourselves. So uh, let's move on to TetraNode Technologies, your company. And
Right.
there are certain aspects that were mentioned on your website, which I was very intrigued about. How do you help companies achieve that? One is grow your personal brand,
Mhm.
and one was entering new markets or even faster uh, exits. So, if you'd like to tell about your company a little bit, and then
Mhm.
these two
Right.
scenarios.
Yeah, I mean, as I said, so we focus on collecting real world data about any business or any venture, and we also collect a lot of data on the target audience. So if we are specifically talking about personal branding or marketing, there are two aspects that we need to create resonance within those aspects. One is, who are you as a person or a business, or a business owner, and who are you targeting? So let's say you are, let's take fashion industry once again. So let's say you are a fashion brand and you're targeting uh, you know female audience between 25 and 30, right? Now, once we know who the target is, we need to understand what is going on in their minds. What are their objectives? What are their hopes? What are their dreams? What are their objections? And who you are as a business brand. So now, collecting these two pieces of data, we start to create a resonance between them, such that the target audience knows that this brand understands them. Whatever their quirky needs and preferences are, this brand understands them. And once you get that understanding, it's very easy to sell, to grow, to market, and become a memorable brand and become a leader in the marketplace. So that's how we utilize data to help businesses, help people to create a brand, get the visibility, basically get in front of their niche, right? Target audience, not only get in front of them, but become memorable in their minds.
Mhm. And much quicker, like as
Mhm.
compared to the conventional ways of doing
Yeah,
standard market research
absolutely, absolutely.
and different segments, and then you test out concepts and you figure out, and then fine tune and perhaps recycle, and then and over a
Exactly.
period of time of doing communication and campaigns, you kind of create that resonance while taking feedback. So you're saying this is going to be a much uh, in time, quick process of
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
capturing all the data of the right metrics for understanding that audience demographic
Exactly.
as well as interests,
Exactly.
and then creating message and content and testing it out. It'll be a much faster process.
Absolutely, absolutely. At the lower end of data, how can I say, data sciences is just data mining. Just look at the data and see what are the patterns. And as the data gets more and more complex, you can apply more complex algorithms, which take you to artificial intelligence. But yeah, the concept is the same. However, you collect the data, it's in terms of when it comes to marketing. Um, it's more about understanding human beings, as I said earlier as well. A lot of the practitioners in marketing, they forget about understanding the human beings. They do a lot of market research. They say, oh, these are the market trends, this is how much this company earned, this is how much the total market size is. They have all the metrics, but they forget about the actual human being who is going to be their target. Now, the thing about that is, we as humans are very dynamic. So, as the environment around us changes, our thinking, our preference, our needs, they also change. A good example is when the lockdowns happened, l- within a couple of weeks, our preferences changed, our desires changed. So if we were looking at the data, historical data, and we did not take into account what was the new environment telling us, then of course that study is not going to yield any result. But if you take the opportunity to talk to a few people and say, hey, what is your current state of mind, tell me, what do you like, you will immediately know that, oh, people don't want to have to do anything with you know uh, any risky environment where their health is going to be affected. They don't want to touch things. They want to be more open towards remote communication. These type of scenarios come up, and now you can see companies who really understood it, they actually grew massively during the pandemic.
Yes. So when this data is being mined at a lower level or the higher level, my question is that would you recommend supplementing it with some traditional quality research as well, wherein
Mm,
where you are getting softer data as well. You're getting the body language, or you're getting,
Absolutely,
what
absolutely,
is going on in the subconscious, rather than
absolutely.
just behavioral data.
Yeah, yeah,
This
yeah.
would be
So
behavioral
we,
data, right? Data.
yeah,
Hmm.
we always recommend, face-to-face or video interviews. The more data we can collect, the better. So we can, look at their online activity. We can even collect data from third-party sources. But the most important and the current data uh, in this scenario that we are describing is basically talking to people, understanding what they are going through, asking them the right questions and all that.
Okay, awesome. Manuj, we move to blockchain technology. And like we did earlier, please demystify it for us a little bit,
Mhm.
and then share some use case scenarios.
See, blockchain at the end of the day, what it is digitizing trust between human beings. Okay, so let me explain. Um, since the time of human evolution, as we started to say, okay, I have my possessions, you have your possessions, and when we started to barter or get into commercial agreements, as human beings, we we figured out that we are not always trustworthy. If I promise you something, I may not deliver on that promise. So if you sell me a goods worth $100, I can say, okay, I'm going to pay you $100, but then I never pay, right? And because of this, there is every transaction by default is untrustworthy transaction between people. You see, and because of that, we have a whole bunch of infrastructure about writing agreements, contracts, escrows, bills that have to be paid, invoices, banks. uh, all this infrastructure is maintained by human beings and at a great cost, just because we are not able to trust each other, right? Now, blockchain as a technology is a technology where we can delegate our trust and say, okay, you put your promise on the blockchain, I'll put my promise on the blockchain, and nobody can alter it, right? So if we write a written agreement, somebody can like still go in and alter it. Blockchain as a technology, it guarantees it cannot be altered, right?
Mm.
So now we are able to remove all that infrastructure, right? Get rid of the bank, get rid of the escrow, get rid of all that stuff, and just use a digital technology to ensure the trust is maintained.
Wow, that makes sense. And I'm sure my audiences would be saying, let's apply it, let's use it more and more, because
Yeah, yeah.
diminishing trust was one of the things that we saw in
Mm,
COVID times,
mm,
when one virus could do that to us. Like,
mm,
we trusted our own eyes. And like, as you were talking, Manoj, I felt building a sustainable business,
mhm,
and anybody can verify that your raw material and your
yeah, yeah.
processes
Supply
are,
chain.
yeah, you're completely environment friendly.
Exactly.
So I mean, that because a lot of greenwashing also happens, so you
Yes,
can
yes,
really
yes.
really
Absolutely.
distinguish.
Yeah. So we recently completed a project for the mining industry, gold and copper mining, where we actually implemented the same thing that you just mentioned, that the mining is sustainable, and it's not it doesn't have any impurities, there was no theft, there was no loss, and all that was put on blockchain.
Awesome, awesome. So now we're coming to human marketing, and you know what's the case you believe there for it. And I also want you to share this particular case where you've helped, the AI platform has helped students to not drop out of their course. And
Mm-hmm.
what is the Obama connection there? Because
Mm-hmm.
This is
So those are two separate questions. Human to human marketing is separate from this project. So which
yeah.
one will you like me to talk about first?
So first, human to human marketing, because that's a larger, scenario,
Mm,
and that changes how we look at marketing totally.
mm, mm,
And in the current world that we are in, when every person
mm,
is so savvy and wants transparency and authenticity, and doesn't
mm,
want to be sold to, doesn't want to be
mm,
talked down to, the very
mm.
essence of branding and marketing is changing. I think human to human marketing is, like you said, such a huge topic. I want
Yeah,
your
yeah.
views on it. Yeah.
See, in my opinion, every true marketing is human to human. There is no such thing as non-human to human marketing. Okay. Let's take, for example, the biggest marketeers in the world or biggest entrepreneurs in the world. Jeff Bezos, Bill Gates, Elon Musk, Steve Jobs. You see, they are or were the human face of their companies before they marketed their products, right? So people trusted them, people knew them, and then they turned around and sold their products, right? So every business has a face, a human face, whether we like it or not. And people only uh, align themselves or connect themselves with that face. Whether whether that is a business, that is a political party, whether that's a non-profit organization, whatever it is. Most people connect them, resonate with the person, that person's core values, their mission, and then they say, oh, okay, I like you as a person. Tell me what is it that you're selling. Even when in typical sales trainings, and when I train salespeople, I always uh, tell them, sell yourself first, and then you sell the product, not the other way around. Because the product is an inanimate thing. People don't connect with inanimate things. People connect with other people first. So we showcase our qualities, we showcase our authenticity, as you said, and then once we have that rapport that is built, then we can say, okay, by the way, this is a solution we have to offer. What do you think about that, right?
Yeah,
uh,
I really liked how you talked about it, because, as you were saying, when we say humanize it, a lot of times marketers say humanize this ad, humanize this communication, but they forget that what the consumer is going to connect to is the essence, the
yes, yes.
belief, the deeper motivations, the
Mm,
intention. That's
mm,
what everybody's trying to do, to a brand. But
mm,
if there is actually a human being behind it who
mm,
is really driven by certain good ambition, what an advantage that can
mm,
be to the
mm,
product and the brand, because
mm,
there is less selling there. I mean, typical, I mean, there's more coming out there with conviction then,
mm,
rather than just pushing something. That's more
yes.
connection. Yeah,
Mm,
absolutely. So now we are, I think my audiences are now curious and
mm.
anticipating to know about this other big part of the question: how you used the AI platform to help students not drop out of their course. And
One problem that universities face is that when students enroll in some degree programs, in the first couple of years, 30% of the students they drop out. The reason being, the students find out that whatever they enrolled in, that it was of no interest to them, and they enroll themselves in based on the recommendations of family or career counselors and what have you. And belonging to the Indian community, we know how much pressure there is to go into engineering or a medical profession or something along those lines. So what we did was we collected a whole bunch of data from hundreds of thousands of students, from their school transcripts, from their aptitude scores, their interest levels. And just like what we were mentioning earlier, we found the patterns of, which student likes what kind of course. And not only like, but what are they capable of completing as a course for their degree program. So Once we have that model, we used it to recommend courses, just like Netflix recommends shows to us. So the idea is to give the students exactly what they are interested in and are capable of completing. And that is the program that we built, which got mentions from Obama and Bill Gates. In fact, Bill Gates actually invested in the project as well.
Isn't that amazing? And what a contribution, and such an original thing to do. uh, Manuj, what were your challenges when you were working on this?
Challenge in all data projects is collecting the data. That's the biggest challenge. Okay, so as I said earlier, if we don't, if we were not able to collect the data, historical data for all these students, we will have no model to go with. We will have no pattern that we would have found. So the project lasted for about a year, and for about 6 to 7, I will say about 6 to 8 months, our main focus was talking to the schools and convincing them that we need this data and trying to figure out how to extract that data in a automated way, right? The rest was simpler because we just had to tweak the algorithms, find the patterns, and then sort of optimize it to produce the results for the students. And this is just one of the projects. Many other projects have much more, uh, meaning not much more, like I won't say much more, but similar impactful outcomes. We have helped people with joint pains using artificial intelligence. We have helped people get personalized learning using artificial intelligence. So a lot of these projects, the complexity lies in figuring out where the data is, what is the right kind of data, because if we feed in garbage data, we'll get garbage output. And then even when we get the data, it's sometimes not clean data. It's got missing links, missing data elements. So we have to do a lot of that before we can feed it to the algorithm.
Hmm. A lot of human intelligence comes first, and
Yeah,
then
yeah,
comes
yeah.
the artificial intelligence.
Yes,
So,
yes.
Manuj, Manuj, tell me this joint pain thing. I'm curious if in a couple of lines, because I'm currently consulting some health brands. I'm just curious to tell
Mhm.
me what was the application of that project?
So it was basically to do with feet. So sometimes we have flat feet, we have disfiguration in the feet, we have different kinds of posture problems because of how our feet are naturally formed. And especially if you have to stand on your feet all day long for your job, like doctors, nurses, and all that. So medication and surgery doesn't help there. So what we did was we created an algorithm which could take some images from a mobile phone, take images of your feet from a mobile phone, and then create a 3D model from that mobile phone within 2 millimeters of accuracy. And then we feed that 3D model into a 3D printer. And that 3D printer then creates an orthotic, custom orthotic that fits into your shoe, and then it
Hmm.
provides the support on the right pressure points under your feet, and then corrects the posture and then helps with the joint pains and everything.
That's wonderful, and perhaps this could be done for back pain.
Yes,
Uh,
yes, yes, yes.
Upper shoulder, lower back, because all the
Absolutely,
working
absolutely.
population, and sitting in strong AC, these are
Yeah,
the few things that
yeah, yeah.
people face. It's amazing, and what application.
Wow, what is that?
And this is rapid fire. We've taken it
Okay, okay.
literally.
I see. All right. Hmm.
Yeah. Okay.
Sounds good.
Here
Sounds
we
good.
start. What's something new happening in your life right now?
I am getting a divorce.
Oh,
Mm.
okay. Okay. If you could live anywhere in the world, where would that be?
I think Switzerland.
Okay. What would you
Mm.
change about yourself if you wanted to?
I'll prefer to have more hair on my head.
Okay. What's your favorite childhood memory?
We used to go to the Himalayas for various various trips with family, with friends, and I love that part of the world. So Himalayas, Himachal Pradesh,
Hmm.
Shimla, and all those places,
It
amazing
was a
places.
long answer. So
Oh, sorry. Okay.
that was a trap, Manuj. But so you are a mountain man. I mean, more
Yeah, of
than a
course.
sea or, forest. Okay, great. That was an insight. Right. What's your guilty pleasure?
Chocolate.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
If you were to devote the rest of your life to philanthropy, what cause would you choose?
Helping people unlock their minds.
Right. What is your deepest fear?
Dying alone.
Mhm. What is your greatest joy?
Spending time with my kids.
Oh. What's a lesson that took you a long time to learn?
Relationships are everything.
Manuj, we've come to a wrap up. Uh, and now we'll request you to share any online addresses, any emails. How can people reach you if they want to?
I think the best thing is to connect with me on LinkedIn and just mention that they heard me on this show. And I'm fairly active on LinkedIn, so they can always they can always email me as well, manuj@tetranoodle.com. But LinkedIn is the best place to be.
Awesome.
Yeah, no, this has been really amazing conversation. Plus the prop effects that you added that creates a special sort of a special effect, I guess. So, and your questions were very insightful. You took the conversation in a very nice flow. So, thank you so much for having me. So, please, anybody who's listening, subscribe, share, and of course, share your feedback with Jasravee so that she can continue to improve. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. It's been an absolute pleasure, Manuj.